Most people in their 40s are one bad year away from working until they're 70, and they don't even know it yet. Right now, while you're watching this, millions of people your age are sleepwalking through their peak earning years, assuming Social Security or some vague plan will bail them out later. It won't. I'm not saying that to scare you for fun. I'm saying it because it's true. Your 40s are not the time to coast. They're not the time to keep doing what you've been doing and hope it works out. This is the decade where the decisions you make will either set you up to retire wealthy in your 50s or set you up to be working a job you hate when you're 65 because you have no other choice. Think about that for a second. Your 30s were about surviving, building a career, maybe starting a family, figuring life out. Your 40s are different. Your 40s are the bridge. What you do on this bridge determines whether you walk into your 50s free or whether you walk into your 50s still stuck, still stressed, still one bad month away from disaster. There's no more room for guessing. No more room for, I'll figure it out later. Later is almost here. So today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what you need to do right now in your 40s to put yourself on a real path to retiring wealthy in your 50s. This isn't theory. This isn't some fantasy plan. This is what actually works. Stay with me because this is going to change how you look at your money for the rest of your life. Before I go any further, I need you to do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button right now. I'm not asking for a favor. I'm telling you this is worth thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars to you over the next 10 years, and I'm giving it to you for free. Most people pay financial advisors hundreds of dollars an hour for the exact kind of advice I'm about to give you for nothing. And a lot of that advice out there is watered down or sold to you piece by piece. All I want in return is for you to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because I put out videos like this regularly and I don't want you missing the ones that could genuinely change your financial future. That's it. That's the whole deal. Now let's get into it. Number one, and this is where almost everybody messes up. You have to get out of the debt trap and build yourself a real cushion. Look, I get it. By the time you hit your 40s, you've got a mortgage, maybe 2 kids in school, a car payment, credit cards you've been carrying since your 30s that never seem to go down. I understand that. But here's the thing. Nobody wants to tell you straight, every dollar you're paying in interest on debt is a dollar that will never work for you. It's gone. It's making somebody else rich, not you. The average credit card interest rate right now is sitting around 20 to 25%. Think about that for a second. There is no investment on this planet that reliably pays you 25% a year. Guaranteed, no risk. So when you're carrying a balance at that rate, you are essentially handing your future wealth over to a bank, and they are more than happy to take it. So step one, and I mean this is non-negotiable, you sit down this week and you list out every single debt you have. Credit cards, personal loans, that furniture you financed, all of it. Write down the balance and the interest rate next to each one. Then you attack the highest interest rate first, and you throw every extra dollar you can find at it while paying the minimums on everything else. This is not complicated math. This is just discipline. I don't care if it's the debt snowball or the avalanche method. Pick one and stick with it, because the method matters way less than actually doing it consistently. And while you're doing this, cut off the source of the bleeding too. Stop putting new charges on those cards while you're paying down the old balance, or you're just running on a treadmill and never actually getting anywhere. And once that high interest debt is gone, and I mean gone, you build yourself an emergency fund that covers 3 to 6 months of your real expenses, not what you wish you spent and what you actually spend, including the mortgage, the groceries, the insurance, all of it. And you put that money somewhere boring, a high yield savings account, not the stock market, because this money isn't for growing, it's for protecting you. Here's why this matters so much in your 40s. Specifically, you don't have the luxury of time anymore to recover from a financial disaster the way you did in your 20s. If your car dies or you lose your job at 43 and you've got no cushion, you're going into debt again. And now you're starting the whole cycle over with less runway to fix it. And that runway matters more than most people realize, because you don't have 30 working years left to recover. You might have 20 or 15. Wealthy people are not wealthy because they never have emergencies. They're wealthy because emergencies don't wreck them. That's the whole game. And I want to be clear about something. This step is not optional, and it's not something you can skip because it feels slow or boring compared to investing. I've seen people get excited about the stock market, skip building their cushion, and then the first unexpected expense forces them to sell investments at exactly the wrong time or rack up new debt to cover it. That one mistake can undo years of progress. So be patient here. Get the high interest debt gone, build the cushion, and now, for the first time in a long time, your money is actually free to start working for you instead of constantly digging you out of holes you keep falling back into. Number 2, and this one drives me crazy because I see it all the time. You have to fix your retirement accounts because most people in their 40s are leaving free money sitting on the table. If your employer offers a 401 kilobits match and you are not contributing enough to get the full match, stop what you're doing and go fix that today. That is a guaranteed instant return on your money that you will never find anywhere else. Nowhere. Not in stocks, not in real estate, nowhere. If your company matches 50 cents on the dollar up to 6%, you're only putting in 3%, you are literally throwing away free money every single paycheck. That's insane to me. That's like your boss handing you a bonus check every 2 weeks and you telling them, no thanks, I don't want it. Beyond the match, here's what most people your age don't realize. You are now in your peak earning years, which means this is the best possible time to be maxing out every tax-advantaged account you have access to. Your 401 kilobits, your Roth IRA if you qualify, a traditional IRA if you don't, an HSA if you've got a high-deductible health plan, because that HSA is one of the most underrated accounts out there. Triple tax advantage, nobody talks about it enough. Money goes in tax-free. It grows tax-free. And if you use it for medical expenses, it comes out tax-free too. Most people just treat it like a spending account for prescriptions and completely miss that it's one of the best long-term investment vehicles available to you. Now, if you're in your 40s and you're behind, and a lot of people are, don't panic, but don't lie to yourself either. Sit down and actually look at the number, pull up your accounts and see where you really stand, because you cannot fix what you refuse to look at. The IRS actually gives you catch-up contribution limits once you hit 50, which is right around the corner for a lot of you watching this. That means the government is basically saying, we know some of you got a late start, here's extra room to catch up, use it. And I want you to automate all of this, set it up so the money moves before you ever see it, before you can talk yourself into spending it on something you don't need. The people who build real wealth in their 40s are not the smartest investors in the room. They are the most consistent ones. They set the system up once and then they leave it alone and let time and compounding do the heavy lifting. Think about it like planting a tree. The best time to plant it was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. And a tree planted today in your 40s still has plenty of time to grow tall before you. Needed shade, you've got 10, 15, maybe 20 years of compounding left before retirement. That is still plenty of time to build something real, but only if the money is actually in the market working, not sitting in a checking account doing nothing while inflation quietly eats away at it. And one more thing on this, don't overcomplicate your investment choices. You don't need to be picking individual stocks or trying to time the market. A simple, low-cost, diversified index fund inside these accounts held consistently for the next 15 or 20 years will outperform most people trying to get clever with their money. Boring and consistent wins this game every single time. Number 3, and this is the one people underestimate the most, you need to increase your income right now, not 5 years from now. Here's the truth. It took me a long time to really get through people's heads. You can only cut expenses so far. There's a 4. You can't cut your grocery bill to 0. You can't stop paying rent, but there is no ceiling on how much you can earn. None. I've said this for years, and it's still true. You can't save your way to real wealth. At some point, you have to grow the income side of the equation. So while you're fixing the debt and fixing the retirement accounts, I need you working on the other side of the equation, too, which is bringing in more money. Now, in your 40s, you've got something 20-somethings don't have, And that's 2 decades of experience, skills, relationships, and credibility. You are sitting on an asset most people your age completely ignore. So first, look at your current job. Are you actually being paid what you're worth? Most people never ask for a raise, they just assume their salary is fixed. And that is one of the most expensive assumptions you will ever make. Do your research. Know your market value. Look at what people with your title and experience are actually making right now, and go have that conversation with real numbers in hand, not just a feeling that you deserve more. And don't be afraid of that conversation. The worst thing that happens is they say no, and you're exactly where you started. But if you never ask, the answer is always no by default. Second, look at what skills you already have that other people would pay for outside of your 9 to 5. Maybe it's consulting in your industry. Maybe it's teaching what you know to people 5 or 10 years behind you. Maybe it's freelancing on the side using the exact same skills your employer already pays you for. I'm not telling everybody to quit their job and start a business. That's not realistic advice for most people, and I'm not going to pretend it is, because a lot of the people selling that dream online have never actually run a real business a day in their life. But I am telling you that a side income stream, even a modest one, changes everything, because that extra money isn't going to your bills. It's going straight into building your wealth. Third, and this is big, invest in yourself. A certification, a new skill, a professional network. These things can move your income more in 2 years than almost any investment you can make in the stock market. The math is simple. If you increase your income by even $10,000 or $15,000 a year and you funnel that directly into investments instead of lifestyle upgrades, you are dramatically compressing the timeline to real wealth. And that extra $15,000 a year invested consistently over 10 years is not just 15,000 times 10, it's compounding on top of itself the whole way, which changes the entire trajectory of your retirement. This is the lever most people in their 40s never pull, and it's honestly the most powerful one on this list because it doesn't just fix today, it multiplies everything else you're doing. I want you to think of your income in your 40s the same way you'd think about a business. If you owned a business and revenue had been flat for 5 years while your costs kept creeping up, you wouldn't just accept that. You'd go find a way to grow revenue, treat your own career and your own earning potential the exact same way, get aggressive about it. Nobody is going to hand you a raise out of kindness, and nobody's going to build your side income for you. This is on you. And the good news is, you're in your 40s, not your 60s. You still have plenty of runway to make this move and let it compound. Number 4, you have to kill the lifestyle payments that are quietly bleeding you dry. This is the one that stings, because by your 40s, you've usually built up a lifestyle, and lifestyles are expensive to maintain. The car payment, the bigger house than you need, the subscriptions you forgot you're even paying for, the vacations that go on the credit card because you deserve it after a hard year. I understand the feeling behind all of that, I do. But here's the cold truth. Every payment you commit to is a piece of your future wealth you are giving away today. That car payment of $600 or $700 a month, if you invested that instead over the next 15 years, could be worth a couple $100,000 by the time you retire. That's not me being dramatic. That's just what compounding does. So I want you to go through your life right now and ask yourself, of everything I'm paying for every month, what is actually building my future and what is just draining it? Grab your last bank statement and go line by line, because I promise you there are payments on there you forgot you were even making. Buy your next car with cash, even if that means buying a car that's a few years old instead of brand new. Stop financing things that lose value the second you drive them off the lot or take them out of the box. If you're carrying a bigger house than you actually need just to keep up appearances, think hard about whether that's serving your future self or just your ego today. Because a house that's too big doesn't just cost you a bigger mortgage, it costs you more in taxes, more in maintenance, more in utilities, all of it adding up every single month. I'm not telling you to live like you're broke. I'm telling you to live like you're building something, because you are, or at least you should be. There's a difference between depriving yourself and directing yourself, and that difference is everything. The goal in your 40s is not to look wealthy. The goal is to become wealthy. And those two things are very often working against each other. I've watched people spend their entire lives trying to look successful, and never actually become successful. And that trade-off catches up with you eventually, usually right around retirement age, when it's too late to fix. Every dollar you free up from unnecessary payments is a dollar you can now redirect into the accounts and investments that are actually going to set you free in your 50s. And honestly, once you see how fast that redirected money starts to grow, you stop missing the stuff you gave up. Number 5, you have to protect everything you're building, because none of this matters if one bad event wipes it out. This is the part people skip because it's not fun to think about. But I need you to hear this. As your net worth grows in your 40s, you become a bigger target. Whether that's from a lawsuit, an accident, a health crisis, or just life throwing something unexpected at you when you least expect it. So first, make sure your insurance actually matches your life now, not the life you had 10 years ago. A lot of people set up their insurance in their 20s or 30s and never revisit it. And now it's completely out of step with what they actually own and who actually depends on them. Health insurance, life insurance, if you have people depending on you, disability insurance, which almost nobody thinks about, but statistically, you're more likely to become disabled and unable to work than you are to die during your working years. Second, if you don't have a will or an estate plan in place yet, stop putting it off. I don't care if you think you don't have enough money yet to need one. You do. Without a plan, the state decides who gets your money and who takes care of your kids. And trust me, you do not want the government making those decisions for your family. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive to start. A basic will and some beneficiary designations properly set up will handle a lot of it, and you can always build it out further as your assets grow. Third, if you own a business or you're building significant assets, talk to a professional about the right legal structures to protect what you've built, because there are people out there whose entire job is finding ways to take a piece of what you've worked for and the right structure, whether that's an LLC, the right insurance umbrella, or proper incorporation, can be the difference between losing everything in a bad lawsuit and walking away just fine. You've spent your 40 seconds so far getting out of debt, fixing your retirement accounts, increasing your income, and cutting the payments that were holding you back. Don't let all of that hard work be exposed and vulnerable because you skipped the boring paperwork part. Protecting your wealth is just as important as building it. And honestly, it's the part that separates people who stay wealthy from people who build it once, get hit by something unexpected, and lose it all right before they were supposed to retire. I've seen it happen. Someone spends 15 years doing everything right, building a nice net worth, and then one lawsuit or one uninsured event comes along and wipes out a huge chunk of it because they never got around to the boring protection stuff. Don't let that be you. This is the least exciting section of this whole video, and it's also one of the most important. So here's your challenge. I don't want you to just watch this video and nod along and go back to doing exactly what you were doing yesterday. That's what most people do, and that's exactly why most people are still stressed about money in their 50s. In 60 seconds, I want you to pick one thing from this video, just one, and go do it today. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, today maybe. It's listing out your debts tonight. Maybe that's logging into your 401 kilobits right now and bumping up your contribution by 2%. Maybe that's finally having that raised conversation you've been avoiding for a year. Maybe it's canceling one payment that's been quietly draining you every single month. It doesn't matter which one you pick. What matters is that you actually move, because information without action is worthless. And you know that already. Deep down, your 40s are not a waiting room for your 50s. They are the decade where the entire outcome gets decided. The people who retire wealthy in their 50s and are not the ones who got lucky. And they're not the ones who are smarter than everybody else either. They're the ones who took this decade seriously, while everyone else kept putting it off, kept waiting for the perfect moment that never actually comes. You've got everything you need right now to be one of those people. So don't just watch this and move on. Comment below and tell me which one of these 5 things you're starting today. I want to see it. I read every one of them. And if this helps you, share it with somebody in their 40s who needs to hear this just as much as you did today. let's go build some real wealth.